His background is talking.
All right, everyone, and we're back. Thank you guys. We had a little technical difficulties. Not by our choice. It just shut down. It just kicked us out. I don't know why. But we're back. So this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna continue. I have a new question for you guys because this is something that I deal with kids every day in high school athletics, and I see how kids they they just flock to one another. Like they have a different kind of love than we had. Even though growing up, Alfred is the oldest, then myself, then Chad, and they can kind of attest to this. We kept secrets, but we didn't keep secrets as nearly as tough as these kids do today, trying to protect one another. Um, and I'm under the understanding that we can't change what these kids do. Only these kids can change how they see life because they're the ones that are having to deal with peer pressure. They're the ones that are out here doing all these things, whatever it is kids do. I don't know. I don't know. I don't even keep track of my own child. I just try to make sure that he's all right. So what do you guys think about that philosophy? April, Shapri, April,
That only kids can change what's going on now.
right? That
Um,
one.
that is true, and you kind of have to find that leader of the pack, and still try to guide where you can. I think they're still lost to a certain extent, and still trying to navigate based on each other. Which, if the knowledge isn't there, then the outcome will pretty much be the same. So I kind of think we still have to guide and just find it's always a leader of the pack. It's always
Right.
one child that everyone's going to listen to or follow or want to be like. So you kind of have to find that one and push the narrative there.
I know one of the approaches that I take with kids and making decisions or guiding decisions is by giving them choices.
Right.
And then amidst giving them choices, you tell them what the possible, or you try to share with them the possible outcomes. And so, and that's sharing information and having them to make an informed decision. I use it a lot in a lot of different things that I do, but I try to get them to talk through and work through those types of things themselves so that they can be. I guess I'm in guiding them. I'm not. I want them to be independent thinkers,
Right.
but at the same time, sometimes because they have the knack of knowledge or the forethought of what the possible outcomes could be, that guidance helps them to shape some of these choices that they make. Do they always make the right choices? No, because sometimes they use their knowledge base, to make the decisions, and sometimes we don't even know, the depth of some of the situations that they have going on, and they don't, like you said, they don't share the depth of the situations that they're going through. But I think if there's somebody that they're comfortable talking into about the depth of some of these situations, then I think, with the proper guidance and, like you said, mentors, they can make better decisions for themselves and they can figure it out on their own.
And in that, I think it's a fine line between what they feel is guidance versus controlling.
Right.
So it's also how you come at them.
Exactly.
One of the things that I always do is I say, here's what you can. I'm not going to ever tell you what to do, but here are the things that can happen. If you do this, then this may happen. If you do this, this may happen. Now, I'm not telling you what to do, but I want you to take these things into account whenever you make your decision. And a lot of times, whenever they weigh the costs, when they count the costs, they're like, well, you know what? I probably would have done that had I not had this conversation. But now, Coach, I think that's the best route to go for me. It worked. Like I said, a lot of times when they know what the cost is, they can make a better decision for themselves.
So here's the thing I like to say.
Who's speaking?
Go ahead, Shaprice. Go ahead, Shaprice. So I want to say, like, I play the devil's advocate. We teach our kids when they're growing up good, bad, or indifferent in their behaviors and the cost of those behaviors. Right. So as parents, do we afford the opportunity to learn and grow from their mistakes, or do we immediately pounce on them and say, you did this, you did that, and you should throw them to the wolves to try to figure out life still, when they don't know what life really is, and they're still learning, because we're ever evolving creatures. We should always be learning. And so we say, you made this mistake, I'm just not going to deal with you anymore as a parent. Do we even get that option?
I think, like I was saying before, we have to teach them that one mistake does not determine or define their life, their entire life. Because we've made mistakes and we've come back from those mistakes. So I think we just have to guide them and let them know. I think that falls into unconditional love. Like, if it's unconditional, I'm here for you regardless of what you go through. I got you. I'm going to guide you. I may not approve of or condone the way you choose to do things, but I'm still here for you if you need someone to talk to, guidance, advice, And I don't think we show them a true definition of unconditional love sometimes. Like you said, yes, we throw them to the wolves too soon, because we haven't taught them anything as far as living in society, living on their own main responsibilities. Just because they pay a cell phone bill don't mean they know how to pay bills. Just because they make a choice about doing their homework don't mean they know how to make a choice about life. So, yeah, I think we need to kind of fall back sometimes and review ourselves and how we handle situations with kids as well.
Alfred.
Yes, sir. On top of, I in my intro, I didn't get it. I just omitted the fact that I do mentoring also with. I've been a Boy Scouts leader for about 6 or 7 years. And what I did, and what when you brought this topic up, it brought to my mind that listening, the fact that in Boy Scouts, what we do is we teach each one of them to be a leader, because we allow them to lead. We make a conscious effort to allow each one of them to lead the troops, and we follow them. And then if they do something that's a little off the chart, we'll try to show them in the book, or show them where they may have gone wrong, or another way to look at it. We don't chastise them or anything like that with Boy Scouts. We pretty much just try to be a good mentor, even in the Boy Scouts, And I just say that giving them that opportunity, like you said, like we're all saying, to lead, to give them that opportunity to mess up, and then show them the way that they should go. I think that is very important. But as I said before, in society, there is no, especially living in the city now, there is no redemption. It's once it's done, it's crucial. It is somewhere in the computer. It's stamped to them forever, and that is so. I think horrible for us as a society to treat our youth that way, because they are youth for a reason. That's the reason you have youth, adults. Right. That's the difference in that. And in that process of being a youth, you're growing, you're testing boundaries. And all youth, even us, we were compared to our parents. Right. When they saw the things that we were doing, that was, out of bounds for them, But we were testing those boundaries, and we were learning and growing at the same time. But there's no chance these days for that.
But I think
And
that has
Shapri
to
said
do
something
with
that was crucial. We don't show the love to them that we expect. And here go my preacher rant. The Bible says that for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but shall have everlasting life. Then he said he didn't send his son to save the world, but he sent him that through him the world might be saved. He ain't sent him to condemn him. We are quick to condemn. And Alfred said it good. Once that stamp is placed on them, nobody does anything to help them erase that stamp. They just forever get convicted off of what they've done. And so now they feel like I've always been a failure. That's all I can ever be is a failure. And there's no hope for me. And our generation need to be able to show them the hope, the saving grace. One thing that I look at in my life is, man, I was something else. I was a work that needed to be
right.
fixed. And when Jesus saved me, he gave me that love that I was looking for from the world. And a lot of them, that's all they're looking for. I was going to say earlier when Tiffany was saying that she tries to show her kids the love in school that she didn't feel when she was growing up. Some of the parents don't understand that love. And you can't give what you don't understand.
Right.
And so sometimes it ain't even about reconditioning the kids. It's about going back and reconditioning the parents so that we can teach behaviors that have been taught and learned to us from generation to generation, and we've carried it on. And now this is where our kids are at. And that's all they know, because that's all we know. I can't teach you what I don't know.
Absolutely.
But I can give you some behaviors of what I do know. And if they bad behaviors, then they my behaviors, because that's all I know.
Absolutely.
Totally
So then
agree.
it becomes cyclical at that point. And so when you speak of unconditional love, the conditions are, I don't know. So because I don't know, then this is what you're going to get. You get it?
And
So
then that's all mixed up too in
Yeah.
mental health issues, something we haven't
absolutely.
discussed.
So here we
Girl, we
go.
ain't even
So
dived into
But
Social
that.
breakdown.
Alfred said,
Tiffany, you're on my street, and
but
It's
you're
like
our
coming down.
social
Alfred
breakdown,
saying,
though. It's in our
he,
social breakdown too. And as I was saying earlier, we as adults don't show that love toward each other. So the youth don't see it. They don't know how to.
but
If
I
my
think,
parent if
go
my
ahead.
mother hates this other mother across the street, then that means I must hate the kids and the mother across the street.
Right.
That's what they see. And that's where we're at these days. We don't break bread like we used to.
True.
Right. So when I don't know how to give or receive unconditional love, because a child is not born with conditions. A child is taught
Right.
conditions and restrictions. So I'm going to get whatever my home has. So when there's a breakdown in the home, then there's nothing else for me to pour from. If I'm pouring from an empty cup, then my cup is going to be empty. Therein lies. So then comes the mental health issues, because there's a whole gamut there. And you coming down my street, Tiffany, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that's there, and we're gonna unpack that in a different time. I see you, Hobart.
Don't go down that
Go
road.
there.
We got to show
I'm not.
specifically for that.
I said I'm not going there. I'm not going there. So my husband and I, and this is his baby, and I'm just rocking the baby, putting Pampers on the baby and giving Pablo. I'm dating myself there. We have started Roots Mentoring Incorporated, which is a nonprofit organization. And what we do is we're going to provide at-risk youth a supportive connection with their peers, first and foremost, with adults, in a safe space for academic growth, personal growth, and positive transformative experiences. Because what's happening is there's no experiences. It's like they're going through life going, it's just one thing after the next. Because if our lives are like this and that's how they're experiencing life, then where's the transformation? There's no time to evolve. You're just expected to go from the next to the next to the next to the next to the next thing. Because if you think about your own life, that's how sometimes we live. We don't just flow and actually grow into the next stage. And that's what we've been talking about. We, where's the ability to mistake, make a mistake, get back up again, learn from the mistake, and keep going. You're just told, don't do it. This is not how you handle that. Let's go. But why don't I handle like that? What if I, I was speaking to Brother Chad, and it was like, but what if I haven't eaten for a whole week? What if I don't have any place to live? And you expect me not to be angry when I get to school? You expect me not to be, excuse my language, but really upset, ready to cuss somebody out? You don't understand why I feel like I've mental health. You don't understand why I have this anger, rage. Where are the parenting teaching classes? Where's the anger management? Where's the ability to control my thoughts, feelings, and emotions? Where is it that I even learn how to identify who I am? So I'm off my
so now we've raised the generation
shut down.
But you talk
we
about
have
being
raised
a leader.
A generation of kids that don't have an outlet. They don't have an outlet at home, and they go to school, and we've placed these people in positions of authority over them at school that they're supposed to be able to talk to, or somebody that's supposed to be able to help them. And so now we talk about where they're going to get the influences from. The people that look like them, the people that act like them, the people that sound like them. And so they saying, well, shoot, in my house, this is what I do. And then they come home and they buck up against you, and you like, oh, not in here. I don't know who you think you are. And they thinking, well, that's what little Bobby do. So
but that's
what I'm going to do.
That's not always the case. I used to teach, and I had a student that I used to have to go pick up for school because he was getting high with his mama. So now what?
Wow.
Right.
So that's what I mean by being friends with your kids.
It wasn't being friends. It was a codependency.
Well, it is a codependency, but at the same time, you're not teaching your child anything. So you're depriving your child of what his life could possibly be.
Well, I'm sorry.
Let's think about this. Let's think about this. I know for my generation, we have Generation X, Generation Y. For most of the parents in our generation right now, they were raised without mothers. My generation was raised without fathers. The next generation was raised without mothers and fathers. So these are the people that are raising our children now. They didn't have a mother or a father. So they really had to get who they thought a mother and a father was from TV, social media, maybe a grandmother who, was elderly, who had a little bit of time, but she couldn't really pour into them. So when we say friends, there is no connection to say friends. These are just people living their lives. And they brought these children into the world. They brought these children into the world, as you said, Ms. Collier, as codependents. That's their life. That person is their life, their buddy, their go-to person. So because they have not, as somebody said earlier, been taught how to be a parent, they don't see themselves as parents. They see themselves as, I don't want to use the word friend, but in essence, yes. They don't know how to separate the two.
Right.
And I see this all the time at school. I see this all the time, especially when it comes to discipline. The moment you discipline them, it's a problem. Well, you can't tell my child this or that. You can't tell because they haven't done it. So how dare you now try to be a parent when that's not what I see parenting is.
And that's so now we have different viewpoints and perspectives of what parenting is. And I know that when I share my story with people that I was a mom at 13, talking to one of my coworkers in present day time, she's 40, and she said, you were a mom at 13? How did you do that? And my response to her was, wow, how did I not do it? Because I didn't feel like I had a choice. Because that's what my mom impressed on me. You did this, now this is what you have to do.
Right.
And I didn't know enough to know that I could say, no, I'm not going to do that. And
well,
so now
Miss April, the grandma is taking that.
But I think sometimes we use
grandma taking that
excuses and reasons for it not to be. So I mean, we have to stop complaining about a system that's broken, that was built for certain things, and just rebuild one. Stop making excuses. I mean, I wasn't taught to be necessarily. I have a niece that had a child at 14. She wasn't taught to be a parent, but she was guided into it. You know what I mean? She had that guidance. And I think I just seen it both ways, where a parent has actually said to a child, I'm your friend. You know what I'm saying? Not that you don't know how to be a parent or you weren't taught. You're choosing at this point to be your child's friend. and be cool and smoke weed and do all of that with your child. I mean, so I've seen it both ways, where some did not have both parents, some had both parents. So I think it's just what a person is willing to do and sacrifice and go through for their child.
Well, at the end of the day, you know, you saying smoke weed with the child.
That's just an example, though.
I get it. No, I know. I understand what you're saying. What I'm saying is, it's hard to be a parent. It's hard to say no. It's hard to say no. That is a killer word for parents these days, to say no. You can't do it. They don't want that. No. They don't want their child. They don't want to be discomforted, because one, they see this discomfort for themselves, and they don't want their child to be discomforted either. Because now, if I said no, well, we're at odds now. It's hard to be a parent to say, no, you can't do that. You know, that's not acceptable. And then feel like you can still live your life without judgment from your children. That's what these young parents are feeling. They're feeling like, if I'm doing it, then my child can do it. It's good enough for me. It was good enough for them. Wrong idea, wrong concept. But here again, we have social media guiding us into these thought processes that it's okay. Everybody wants to be the what is it called? I want to be like this person I see on Instagram, this family photo that we see, this you know, vacation that we see, this perfect family model, and that's just not reality in any aspect of life.
Okay, everyone. I think we kind of delved on this a little bit, but I'm not really sure. So I'm just going to ask the question anyway. Growing up, my sister and I, we've always been peas in a pod, peas and carrots, however you want to look at it. My mother had one rule, and that was do as the hell I say and not as I do. I still live by that motto, and I don't know what's the motto with y'all, but that's the way it is. If you're my child, you're going to do what the hell I say, or it's no or. You're going to do what the hell I say, or I might punch you in your face. I might slap you upside your head.
I'm not listening.
Time. I'm not finished. So when we look at this thing now, is it right today? Is it right today that we still live by that credo, do as I say and not as I do? Because it might be a new day, but old still flows like the river. I don't know why we have to change something that's not broken. If I ask what was good for back then, it should still be good for today. Chad Wilson, go.
Well, I'm not exactly sure that I prescribe to that credo. However, you know, I think my father was my biggest influence. Maybe not. I didn't think that, you know, coming up, but he was. It was a seed planting situation. And the one things that my father did, or the most impactful thing that my father did, that I'm employing with my kids is, and it gets on my kids' nerve, and it probably got on my nerves whenever my father was doing it, was that I'm going to show you, and I'm going to tell you why you should do it this way, and then I'm going to expect that you do it this way. And amidst that discussion, you know, I had an opportunity to say, hey, well, why can't we do it this way, so forth and so on. And I gained an understanding. And so that's what I do with my son, especially with my son. You know, we have our time alone, and we talk about different things, and we discuss the reasons why we should do things a certain way. And I'm not talking about I mean, from some of the most minuscule, probably insignificant things to some of the most impactful, major things. I'm talking about like why you should wheel the garbage out the night before rather than the day of, and what can happen as a result of. So because again, I want my kids the same way I do at school. I want my kids to be able to not only do, but be able to do with a purpose and know why they should do something a certain way, so that whenever I question them when they don't do it, they'll be able to explain to me why they didn't, and that's when I get frustrated. And like Hoba says, I get irate, not irate, but I get frustrated.
Ass whipping angry.
Irate because if I take the time to explain and to show a better way than what you, and sometimes amidst those conversations, he shows me a better way. And I say, you know what, son, you're right. Go ahead and do it that way. But that's the avenue that I prescribe to go, and it don't always work. It don't always work. Me and my daughter butt heads like all the time, like just this week. But I think again, just like my father, it's going to be a seed planting situation. So, and they're going to end up, I hope, being like me, like, you know what, Dad, prescribed to this way. I see why he did it that way.
Anise.
Hobart, can I jump in real quick? I just want to say thank you all for having me on. I would love to come back. I've got another meeting to join. Thank you. Important conversations. Thank you all so much. Thanks, Hobart.
Oh, no problem. Welcome back anytime.
Thanks, Tiffany.
Nice meeting you.
Yes, nice meeting you,
too.
Tiffany. Awesome.
We're at Anise. We want to thank Ms. Lewis for joining us. Let's go.
Well, I covered my eyes and my ears because we have evolved just a little bit. And as a mandated reporter, that was just a little bit, what do they call it? Too much information. But seriously, I came from parents who did not spare the rod or spoil the child. So I understand the context behind that. But I do think that we have evolved to the point to whereas we're teaching our children communication skills, and it's important to hear them, and we empower them to use their voice. And I think that when you say, do what I say, they understand that because they respect you as their parent, but you have had to do things to have that role. And you've done those things through modeling. You've done those things through providing. You've done those things through being accountable. You've done those things through being there for them. You've done those things through relationship. You've done those things through love. And so therefore, when you say, do what I tell you to do, then you do that. But you also have, as a parent, have the responsibility to know the developmental stages that they're going through. So you're going to get that resistance and pushback. I think Alfred said it earlier that you did, your parents went through the griping when you came up, like what, as you were stretching your arms and trying to find your way through this thing called life. So as our children do that, we have to give them that room to grow because we want them to be successful because we know what's on the other side. So it's when they do that pushback that we go, we cringe, but we know what's on the other side. It's because they don't follow our way. But we have to be open-minded enough to know that our way is not the only way. So do we afford them the grace to grow?
April.
So Hobart and I grew up in the same household, and he was right. Do as I say, not as I do, is my way or the highway. Hobart employed that tactic or whatever he want to call it. I call it strongholding. Me, on the other hand, I've had conversations with my kids. I talk with my kids because I felt like in doing so, that allowed me to get to know who they were as evolving human beings. And being able to, as Chad said, understand them. Did I not believe in spankings? No, they got plenty of spankings. He would agree to disagree that I didn't spank them enough, that they needed plenty of more spankings. But when we begin to have these conversations with our kids, we begin to find out who they are,
Right.
what's going on in their mind, how they feel about what's going on in life. We used to have family meetings and they were allowed to talk and discuss their feelings, but they had to do that with the understanding that I had the final say so as the parent,
Right.
and that whatever I do is in the best interest for you, and never will I do anything to hurt you. I tell my kids every time I talk to them, I love you. And I will say that I don't remember my mom ever telling us that she loved us, but I knew she loved me. So was that necessarily right? No, but I knew she loved me. But she knew what to teach me, what she knew to teach me. And so when we teach our kids right from wrong, good from bad, how to grow as an adult, the things they need to do to become responsible adults. When you put a seed in the ground and you plant an ear of corn, you expect the ear of corn to grow. You don't expect the apple tree to grow from an ear of corn. And so
Baby.
my thing that I was entrusting, that whatever I put into them, it was going to eventually come out, because I planted good seed in my kids. I took them to church. I taught them the word of God. I taught them how to pray for themselves. And so we have to, get back to the basics, but we have to grow with the basics and move, because the same thing doesn't always work. And like I said earlier, because technology has transformed so much, they got way more access than what we had I was born in 1970. 2000, I'm still trying to learn how to work an iPhone and be able to talk to y'all on this podcast. So we got to be able to grow as they grow even now, because guess what? When I get 70 or 80, who gonna take care of me? Did I give them enough forward to be able to take care of me? Or they be like, I ain't taking care of her. Just throw me in a nursing home. I pray not. But I hope that I've implanted in them a nurturing spirit, a loving spirit, a kind spirit, a spirit to say that, am I my brother's keeper? I can honestly say that Hobart George Grayson III, I've always been his keeper. But that's because of what my mom implanted in us. We've been best friends since he got here, September 4th, 1971. I know siblings that can't say that because they don't even talk to each other. We ain't even talking about loving each other. I don't like you.
Hey, I'm about to remove you from the commentary. You went a little too far now. Just a tad bit too far.
That's what you get when you got your sister on the podcast with you.
First off, you're not going to be calling my whole government name. Secondly, you're not going to be giving these people my date of birth unless they're going to be cash apping me.
Y'all cash apping, blessing.
Do you understand that? Don't play on my
Number
top.
3, I love you.
Love you too, sissy. Shapri, go.
I agree with a lot of what everyone has said. And I disagree with some of it. I grew up with the same. My parents had the same mindset: do as I say, not as I do, or and that's just what it was. Didn't question things at that time, because if you did, it was repercussions for it. So with my kids, my son is 21, my daughter is 8. So I have that age gap, and it is a big difference, trust me. But with them, I do have conversations. I do want to know the mindset of my kids, whether 21, 18, 25. My son and I have had mother-son talks since he could talk. And it's just where he talks, I listen, I talk, he listen, and we discuss collectively. And as April said, the final decision is still mine. And I'm not one of those parents that have an issue with telling my child no, because sometimes me disappointing you is me setting you up for your greatness. So that's just not my issue. I just think, we do need to evolve more as far as old school parents when it comes to getting to know the kids and where they are and drawing them in. We need to learn how to draw them in. And at this age, it's social media. Their exposure is too much. They are exposed to way too much too soon. And I just think we need to get a hold on that as well. But sometimes old school is better, and sometimes you got to put a little twist on it.
All right, Alfred, I got a whole new topic of discussion for you. And I'm only doing this because it's your birthday, Alfred. We want to make you feel special here on Life Off the Bench because today is your birthday. I'm going to put some on the screen, ladies and gentlemen. Take about 30, 45 seconds to read it, review it. Then I'll read it, and we'll go from there.
Thank you. I agree.
Let go. We don't need that whole
yeah, I know that was a little bit of time, and it's okay. It's okay. But I was scrolling through my Facebook account a few days ago, maybe today is Sunday. That was maybe Thursday night, and I came across this, or it was at midnight on Friday, actually. Friday night at 12:03, turning into Friday morning. And Larissa Anderson at Coach Larissa A. And it says kids who make excuses usually have parents who make excuses for them. Accountability is a learned skill. Hashtag own it. Alfred, your thoughts?
Yes. In my time and experiences in mentoring and being around youth, and just being around people in general, I listen. And one of the things I tell my wife, I say, if you want to know what's going on in the house, go talk to the kids. And the kids will tell you everything that's going on in the house. And they tell it all. So just learning from them and listening and watching. And I can tell, being in the city, I don't know, I can only compare it to the places I've lived. And I grew up in a small town. Living here in Chicago in the city, you deal with youth that have, how do you say, they are very skilled when it comes to the government and societal things. They know how to, because
work a program.
They know how to scheme things because they've watched their parents and they've learned from them on how to make a buck, get over. They know how to tell you all these things. And I'm like, okay, why is that so important? Why are we not teaching why don't you do it this way? Why don't you work and earn this thing? Why don't you use your brain and be creative and not have to, backdoor, do stuff in the dark, and I just listen to, and there's a lot of excuses, and they come up with excuses why they don't go to school, what happened at school. They make up excuses, why they in places that they don't supposed to be at, and I just, the way I see it is it's becoming so acceptable in society. These excuses, there's really no repercussion for anything right now. Everyone passes the buck. It's not my fault. It was the teacher's fault. Mm-hmm. It was the police fault. It was the judge fault. It was it's just the neighbor's fault, and the church don't do nothing for us. It's the church fault. It's like everyone passes the buck. So, and that thing you can see at any time. I mean, if you just talk to the kids, and they'll take any excuse you want to hear about, they can tell them to you. Yeah, but I think that's where we're at today.
Chadwick.
So I know exactly what you're talking about, Alfred, because I taught in Chicago for 5 years. I had an opportunity to teach in New Orleans for a brief stint, and in the Baton Rouge suburbs here. And so I know one of the things that I use when kids come with a bunch of excuses, and even in coaching, I say, you give me excuses why you can't. Give me an excuse why you can. You know, what will it take for you to be able to be successful in this? You know, I can't do this because well, what do you have to do? Tell me what do you have to do? So a lot of times I just flip it on them. You know, you give me the reasons why. You could give me a reason why you can't, but give me a reason why you can. Oh, what will it take for you to overcome or persevere? All right. So if I can help you get this, now what will the excuse be? So no, that's one of the tactics that I use. Because excuses just don't get the job done, especially in sports. You know, hey, you know, I give you a great example. My son is 23rd in the nation in his age group in the javelin. And so we went to Junior Olympics this past year in Jacksonville, Florida. And, you know, my son goes to a throw coach and all that good stuff. And he was very disappointed finishing 23rd. And so I was like, well, son, so tell me, what was the difference between you and the guys in the top 23 or the top 22? And he was like, well, you know, I'm 11 years old and most of them are 12. I was like, okay. I said, what else? He said, well, you know, all those guys are just a little bit bigger and a little bit stronger. I said, so what do you need to do? You know, and so through that, he figured out, hey, you know, there's some things that I can do, you know, some of those things, you know, was factors that he had no control over, but the things that he has control over, he can improve his status, you know, amidst the rankings. So, and so then the next thing was, now it's up to you, because next year when we come, I don't want to hear it. You know, if you it's still 23rd, it's your fault, because you've already told me what you need to do in order to be in the top 10 or top 5 or whatever, however he wanted to finish. So those are the things that we need to flip it on our kids. Mm-hmm. You tell me what will it take for you to be successful, and let's put you in a position to be there.
That's tough, bro. That's tough. Anise.
So when we read the quote or the post about children making excuses, and then you look at their parents, I heard Alfred and Chad talk about, you know, the excuses that the children make are the parents. I was thinking about accountability, in that, why are the parents making excuses for them? And I thought about my work. So in the families that I engage with or have experiences with, and usually the children want to try, or the young people want to try, they want to do, they want to be a part, they want to identify, that whatever it is you ask of them, they want to do it, but they don't engage because there's someone who always steps in and stops it. So to give an example, why don't I think? Why don't I do my homework? I've always had someone to correct it and make it perfect. Why don't I had someone to snatch the sheet away from me and do my homework for me. Or I had someone to come in and tie my shoe. Something as basic as tie my shoe. Have you ever seen that? Where a little kid goes down to tie their shoe and someone will stop and tie their shoe for them. And I'm like, stop. And then that habit, or that I'm getting ready to do it, or I want to learn it, someone steps in and does it for them. So when are we going to stop stepping in and stand back and let them do it? So it then becomes a matter of employing the ability and the skill set for them. When do we do that? So I'm posing more questions to your questions, because I see that, I simply ask 3 questions, or I pose this to the young people that I work with. When I hear an excuse, I say, oh, I don't want to hear an excuse. in a situation, I go, did you cause it? Can you control it? Can you change it? And I adapted that from someone who's very near and dear in my life. And I employ that when I work with people in therapy. Is it something that you caused? Is it something you can control? Is it something that you can change? If not, then why are you making an excuse for it? What's the excuse? For not being a change advocate, for not being the one to do something about it, for not doing something to make your life different, healthier, whole. So that's my soapbox.
Shapri.
Yeah, I'm here. So I just think we start early teaching them to not make excuses. Because it starts from something as simple as, why is your room not clean? Well, because I know you know to do it. I shouldn't have to remind you. Get it done within a decent time frame. And I think it can start there. Something as simple as, you're not passing in school. If you do X, Y, Z, just ask them there. No, my teacher didn't mention it. Well, why didn't you? No, to you ask. It's your grade. Your teacher has been through school. So I think it just starts at an early age, and we kind of have to continue it throughout. And we also have to be parents that don't make excuses to our kids. We tell them we're going to do something, we don't do it, and we have an excuse as to why we didn't do it when it's possible to get done. So I just think it's from both sides. Example, pushing them to do it and sticking with it.
April.
My son, I didn't remind him.
I'm sorry.
So my thing was, by the time I pick you up from after school program, have your homework done so we can get home. I can start dinner. Then I have to take you to practice. If you don't have it done, no practice. There was no excuse to, I couldn't do it in after school program because of XYZ. No, if you didn't do it, you don't get practice. So I think we just have to, like you said, hold them accountable at early ages and keep it going.
April.
Man, accountability is everything. And my granddaddy used to say, your word is your bond. And if you don't got no word, you don't got no bond. And when we teach our kids to be accountable, we teach them a valuable lesson in life, and we pave the road for them to become bigger and better. One thing I used to tell my kids was, they used to say, I can't. You can't what? I can't do it. You can't until you quit trying. So you haven't failed unless you decided that you want to quit trying. And I think this generation that we live in, they're our I can't generation. If it's something that seems too hard or too complicated for them, I can't. I can't shouldn't be in our vocabulary, especially looking for where we came from. My great-grandparents were slaves, and I got a master's degree. I think I came a long ways from where they came from. So my kids should have PhDs. That's how I feel personally.
Right.
So I should never be in our vocabulary. And I think if we start to take that word out of their mouths early, and like Shapri say, hold them accountable. You went to after school work should be done. It is not done, no football practice. Because, we raising up young men to be athletes, young women to be models. And these are things that they like doing. So accountability starts with, sometimes I got to take this away from you. It may hurt me as much as it hurts you, but we can't do this. Chad said his son was number 23. I think 23 is pretty good. Especially is it 23 out of 100? Oh, you're darn good, young man. You're in the top 25. But what can you do to make it better? And those are the questions we have to pose to them. What can you do different?
But two things come to that. We allow them to quit is one thing. And the second thing is, when you said about being uncomfortable, as a parent, when we put our children on punishment, we put ourselves on punishment. And a lot of parents do not want to be on punishment.
Don't even go there. Don't do it. Don't do it.
I love
We got a show for that. Don't you dare do it. We got a show for that.
I got to say this or die. Because what happens is, in order to be accountable, you got to be accountable. So that means when I tell
Right.
you,
Right.
if you don't do your homework, you not going outside, that means I got to sit my butt in the house. And that means a lot of people don't know what to do with themselves as adults. If I ain't, hey, or doing whatever. And not saying that
Hey.
that's what all parents do, but that means that I have to be accountable. If I say no TV, that means that no TV in this house is coming on. That means I got to find something to do for me. Oh, don't tell me. Oh, no. I got this gonna be the sermon of the night. Here's the preacher, and my text is
Preacher needs
hallelujah,
amen.
hallelujah,
Amen.
hallelujah, and that is. If I have to be a parent, that means I got to be a parent. If I tell you don't go out here showing your tail, that means I can't go show my tail.
Right.
If I means no TV, that means no TV for everybody. If I say eat your vegetables,
No.
I got to eat my vegetables. Hello. That means
think-
I got to cook a
I think we
vegetable.
need
I
to
got
look-
to buy a vegetable. Say it again.
I think we have to look at do the punishment fit the crime, because
That's a whole nother show too.
Yeah,
Alfred.
because I was
Alfred,
gonna
we
say-
talking about accountability right now. Accountability
yeah, but
starts
Brother
at the
Wilson
top.
and I were just Brother Chad, we were just talking about this. Is when you take them off the football field, that had nothing to do with whatever that person was, whatever he got in trouble about, they got in trouble about. That doesn't equate, because now you're taking away your own support, because you had support on the field. The coaches are going to support you. They're going to keep them in line. You're sending them when you're sending them to
Oh, I
practice.
understand that. I
Ball.
understand that.
That's accountable. That's
Mr.
making them
Collier,
accountable.
I understand.
No, but I
understand the
think
coaches
it,
had my back. No, I understand the coaches had my back because those were positive men to help correct. Oh, I wouldn't tell the coaches what he did,
Right, the
so therefore they could have my back, and they gave him extra drills to make him
No, but
better
I'm
and
saying
stronger on the
if he
field.
got in trouble with doing something with his friends, then you stop him from hanging out with his friends.
I got
Amen.
that.
You don't
I'm
take
clear.
him away
I'm
from
clear. No,
the
I
positive
didn't take
things
him
that
from the
he's
foot.
doing.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
You
I'm
make him
clear
more
with you on that.
accountable with the positive he's doing.
I'm clear.
So
I'm
I
clear.
think
clear.
too, it also depends on the child and what affects the child. Because if
Absolutely.
if I take away TV, my son don't watch TV. So I can
Right.
take
I'm
away
talking. I'm
TV.
just using
No, I'm
old
saying
school.
what Alfred was saying. So I think it depends on what affects the child and what gets to the child. Because if I say don't, like an example, when my son was younger, I took away his wrestling men because that was his favorite thing. But he was an only child on both sides. So you know what he did? He went and got paper and made wrestling men. And I'm walking by his room and I just hear boom, 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 little noises. I'm like, what are you doing?
Like,
He
didn't I
made
take them
wrestling men.
wrestling men?
Right.
And
And
now
see,
taking
and
paper,
absolutely.
But him being an only child, he knows how to entertain himself. So I have to do something more effective, which was sports. He loves basketball, football, baseball, all around. So I have to take something that's going to mean something to him, that's going to, get his attention to turn around. And I'm sorry, but moving him from his friends wasn't it, because he didn't care about those either at the time.
Well, I'm saying whatever the issue was.
Shaprice, I had
has
one
to
that had
relate to the
siblings,
punishment.
and he was just like your
It
son.
just
He
can't be
would make his own.
because what's going to happen is
Right.
what's going to happen is whatever sport he was playing, then he's gonna say, "Well, I ain't gonna do that activity because she only gonna use it against him." So he gonna. I'm telling you, that's where the mindset is gonna go.
But
and then they're gonna kill that. They're gonna.
No, because as a parent, it's no quitting. So whatever you start with me, you're gonna finish. Period. So I can take you out of a game, but do what you have to do for the next game. You're gonna continue to go to practice. You're gonna continue to be out there with your teammates. Your coach is gonna know what's going on, but you will not play that game because see, that's what's gonna affect you. I did all this work for what? Get that schoolwork, and you'll understand. You get what I mean, that's just what worked for me. It might not work for every child. So it depends.
See, that's the relationship she's talking about. She has established a relationship where she has always kept the network between the coach, her child, and her as a parent.
Okay, but is that child going to play sports or practice? Was that the cause of the grade slipping? We need to find out what the cause, what caused it, and
it was effective.
We can.
That's all. Hey, I don't care what
The
the cause
punishment may
was.
not have fit the
It to
crime.
be
It was
effective.
he realized what needed to be done.
Right.
So
And I will say another thing is each child is different. So if you're
And that's
a
why I
parent
said
of
depends on the
multiple
child.
children, you need to know each child, because my 3, they were all totally different.
Right.
My oldest one, she want to read, she didn't want to leave out the house. So punishment for her was go outside and play. She hated it. My son, he wanted to be outside 24/7, and he was like Sharice's son. He got them cars and the men. He got them set up in the house. I'm stepping on them, everything. And so for him, oh, you're going to get a butt whooping, and you're going to have to stay inside, and you can't play no game. You can't watch no TV. You can't do nothing.
Because even with me,
his punishment may have never fit the crime.
I have 2 brothers. I'm the only girl and I'm the baby. So it's totally different how my mom had to deal with me versus them. You take away my music, me listening to music, oh, I'm all ears. You have my attention. You take away pen and paper because I love to write poetry, I'm all ears. But my brothers, you could take away TV, music, they didn't care. As long as they could go outside and play sports, they were good to go. But and with my son, it just depends on the child. Like I said, it depends on the child, and you have to address it with the child accordingly.
Y'all see Hope not saying nothing because none of
He
this
just laughing.
He just had a sister, right? Because he just say, Renee, sign my
you better do what I
card.
told you to do.
So
Say no. I'm sitting here. I'm sitting here just listening, and I'm really enjoying all of what you guys are saying. And each individual panelist has made great points about each topic that we've discussed here tonight. But at some point, the show must come to an end.
Yeah.
We could be here really literally for 3 more hours talking about this, and we wouldn't lose any steam because we're all individualistically passionate about helping children and trying to figure out the best way to help children. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a final thought, and we're going to continue this on the other side of the broadcast. And that will be growing up, I didn't have a father in my everyday life. It was the hardest thing that I had to deal with growing up as a child. I cried many a days behind my dad not being in my everyday life. It was the one thing that I wanted more than anything on earth. And because of that, I made dumb, foolish decisions that only affected me and my mother, who I know loved me because she showed me. And so the one thing that I think would help kids today, because kids today, they don't want to endure anything. They don't want to go through nothing. They want it their way, and that's just what it is. But if we start teaching kids at a young age that you can condition a monkey to eat peanuts when we know he loves bananas, then now they can understand and comprehend what it is to endure something, because all it is conditioning the mind, the body, the spirit. And once you condition that, now your heart has something that it has built upon, and you can move forward with whatever it is you're trying to do. And you're also building endurance within that same time frame. So just if you're a young parent, if you're an old parent, don't be afraid to love your kids. I tell my kids every day how much I love them. Every day. Don't be afraid to give your kid a hug. But also don't be afraid to whip your kid's butt, because the rule is, and I have a friend that works for the state of Louisiana, and I asked her this question some years ago because I had a situation with my son that bothered me, and I was wrong. And so I said, what's the rule on whooping kids? And here in Louisiana, it is as long as you hit them on their butts, you're legal. You're within the rules as long as you whip them on their butt. You can't beat them on their neck, on the back of their head. You can't punch them in the face. You can't whip their legs or their knuckles. It has to be on their bottom, okay? And that's what it is. It has to be a equal amount of love, discipline, and mutual respect for one another. And that's life off the bench. I hope that you guys were helped by the panelists as much as I was. We want to thank special guest Tiffany Lewis for joining us. And I think she just asked to join the weekly panel before she got out. Am I the only one that got that?
Yes.
Okay, so joining us, now we have a new panelist. We want to welcome Tiffany Lewis. We want to, and I'm just going to go in order as I see them on the screen from top to bottom, left to right. We want to thank April Grayson. We want to thank Shapri Barnes. We want to thank my big bro, Alfred Kari. I love you, man. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
No, hey, nobody knows the hard times we've been through, man. Me, you, and God know though. Sis, Anise, man, thank you. I love you for joining the panel. Hey, I'm just gonna say this, man. I have 4 dudes that mean the absolute world to me. I get to share life with 2 of them on this panel. Alfred, Chad, you guys mean everything to me. Chad, right now, you know what it is, bro. I don't even have to say it. I love you. Like, hey, Chad punched me, y'all. I'm snipping.
He hit me first.
I probably did.
I thought this was non-violent.
It is, but
where's the love? I wore a heart.
Can we all just get along?
I had to be messy right quick. Because I was getting emotional, so I had to. My eyes are really watery right now. If you guys see something. If you guys see something rolling down my face, it's called excitement. It's called joy.
I want some love. Come on, love. Love.
Man, hey, it was a great show, and you guys, y'all don't even know. We went over 30 minutes on the first one before it broke, and we're over an hour now. So again. I'm gonna end the broadcast, and we'll stay on a few minutes after and chop it up.
Life off the bench.
As we said, off the bench sports. Remember, get off the bench, get into the game.
All right.